over the years, students have asked me two questions, directly or indirectly. And I've heard these questions so many times that I finally wrote a book to answer them. The two questions are, what can I do to get more satisfaction out of my life? And the other one is, what can I do to make a positive difference in the world when I'm just an ordinary individual living an average life? And I believe that the answer to both questions is the same answer. And it's the answer that I've tried to develop in the personal philosophy book that I've written to answer these questions. The answer is to exemplify in your own life the way you want the world to be. It sounds like a very simple idea, but I believe it is a powerful one. That is, the answer is an invitation to those who read the book, or hear about it, or watch this tape, to join the unknown, unsung heroes and heroines of a billion faces, who in their daily lives exemplify what they want the world to be like and make the world a better place for their presence in it. They may not do this consciously, but they do it. We usually hear the bad news. We don't hear the good news that a lot of people are out there trying to make things better in their families, in their careers, in all the contacts they make with others, in all the lives that they touch. The handbook is a guide based on the perennial wisdom of the ages, a guide to a life that is satisfactory and a life that helps create a better world. The handbook is a guide to a life that is one filled with courage, understanding, gratitude, grace, humor, helping, intelligence, and love. Most of the problems in our world are really caused by individuals like yourself and myself. We are the grassroots. We are the grassroots movement. Everything starts with us. Everything starts with the individual. The individual, therefore, is the most potent agent of change. You then, just you yourself, and a lot of other people like you, lighting their candle can make things a little brighter for all of us. And in so doing, live a fulfilling life. Because your life will be a benefit both to yourself, you'll feel good about yourself, you'll be the kind of person other people will want to know, the kind of person you want to be with, and you are the person you spend your whole life with. And it will be a benefit to others. It'll be mutually beneficial to one and all. So the answer to what can I do to get more satisfaction out of my life, and what can I do to make the world better, is simply start living that life that you think everybody should be living. Now, a lot of people won't join in, but at least you're going to be doing your best to make things better. The problem of a meaningful life, and that's what people want to live, they want to live a life that has some meaning, involves then both you as an individual, and here we have an individual leaf, and you as a member of a group. and you have to reconcile the two. To live strictly for your own selfish desires, needs, conveniences, is to live an isolated life. To live strictly for others is to live as a cosmic doormat. Between these two extremes, there is living both for yourself and for others in a way that is rewarding. So any sound personal philosophy has to include both ideas, not just the individual or not just society, but both. There have been too many books recently that just talk about helping yourself, most of them coming out of the me decade, the 80s. It doesn't work. You must have a life that works for others as well as yourself. Certain things should be realized in doing this. First of all, you are essentially capable in your life to one degree or another of everything that is good and bad, and we use those terms, good and bad, they may have no meaning, in human behavior, one degree or another. You may not kill somebody in your life, but you may kill someone's reputation. It's the same kind of act against your fellow humans, but it's to a lesser degree. You're essentially capable of good actions. They may not be great philanthropic donations, but you may contribute to some small charity or some small volunteer group at home and give your time, for example, which is even more meaningful than giving your money. You have a choice every moment of your life within much larger parameters than you believe, a choice between positive and negative behavior. You've heard the expression, I want to make a difference. Well, let's really look at that. Everybody does make a difference. Everybody makes a difference. I think what the expression means is I want to make a positive difference. But the flip side of that is I'm either making a positive difference or a negative difference every moment of my life. In the way that I think, in the way that I talk, and in the way that I act. All three are connected. Or in the way I neglect to think, or neglect to talk, or neglect to act. There's no such thing as not making a difference. You make a difference. Even if you try to remain neutral, which is not a good place to try to remain, you make a difference because you help those forces that are so virulent and strong, the forces of the negative aspects of our existence here. The world is mainly individuals. I cannot help but stress that. And each one is responsible for what the world looks like. We could say, well, other people are responsible. And every one of the 5.5 billion of us could say that, and we'd leave no one with responsibility. Most of our problems, war, genocide, suffering, poverty of all sorts, are created by individuals, by people, through their thoughts, through their words, and through their actions. Through, for example, their greed, that so few want to have most of the goods of this world, and so many don't have them. What kind of thinking is involved there? Or not thinking is involved. So every moment of your life you are making a difference. You're making a difference in your life, and you're making a difference in the lives of others. It's a powerful concept to keep in mind. There are no moments in which you are not making a difference. There are no thoughts which are not making a difference in the way you are. no words that are not making a difference in the way people perceive you and the way you are creating the world around you. And of course, actions, which speak louder than words, are the ultimate payoff. I just mentioned recently genocide. Take, for example, something harmless, like a joke about a particular group of people. That is the first degree of a negative move toward genocide. It goes from one step to the other, but the first step is always seemingly innocent. The last step is always horrendous. One of the things about following a philosophy that asks you to live the world you want, to exemplify in your own life the way you want the world to be, is that it's not easy. It's much easier just to let things go, not to make the extra effort. So in the short run, following this philosophy is difficult, but in the long run, I think it's very satisfying. In the short run, I might say, oh, I don't want to do volunteer work. Let someone else do that. I'll just stay home and watch television. Or you might say, well, I'll do the volunteer work, but boy, it's a drag getting down there, but I'll do it. But you get down there, you find out you're helping people, you feel good about it, they feel good about it, and you feel satisfied that you've done something meaningful. So you have to get up off your rear end. You have to not be lazy. You have to live your life with some courage and energy. You have to put a lot into this, but it's worth it. Essentially is a concept that a number of wisdom writers have talked about, including Henry David Thoreau. The concept is that the work of art that everybody is involved in is life. Lots of people would like to be famous as singers, as writers, as performers, as sports heroes, but very few will achieve such a goal. But every one of us has right at hand a very challenging and difficult art form, life. You are essentially the artist of your own life within the limits that you are able to control. You're given the material. I think most of us are given pretty difficult material to work with. The material has been shaped by genetic endowment, by environment, by numerous factors, but that's the material you've got. You don't have another person to work with, you have yourself. And so it's up to you to shape that self the best you can and make it, as I said before, a self that you like to live with and that other people like to be with. A self that is enjoyable and profitable for all concerned. Simple things in your life can be worked on, and major things too. The whole palette is there. The big picture and the small details. Just a smile, for example, given to someone that you only meet once in your lifetime in a business transaction in a store, could change that person's life. It's amazing how many little details added can make a great work of art. And so I invite you to think of that concept as a very important concept. You can succeed as an artist with the most important art form, life. That is given to all of us. We all have a chance to do that. Very few of us will become famous for other arts, the more, if you will, glamorous arts they are thought of. So, I'd like to say a few more things about the work of art we call your life. It's difficult because the materials are difficult. We know that. There is a lot going on inside us which we need to work with, deal with, that can often get us into situations we don't, in retrospect, feel were good situations. And so it's a difficult art form. Just because everybody has this art form available doesn't make it easy. And then you have all the negative artworks around you, people who aren't making an effort to make much of themselves in any way that would say to you, this person has built character, this person has tries to make things better, this person's trying, this person doesn't seem to be trying is often the message you get. And so you have negative works of art around you. You have all the influences of the entertainment business, of all the people who would just like to make money out of you, pandering to the weaker sides of your character. It's not easy. But if you persevere, you can create a work of art with your life that you're proud of and that other people will have gotten a lot from. Because the influence of your life does not stop with you and those you know. It goes on in your lifetime to everyone you touch, and after your lifetime to all those that they touch. In that sense, this art involves a sort of immortality that is very definitely there and will continue from generation to generation. One of the key ways of developing yourself as a good work of art, developing yourself as a person who makes a positive difference, is to learn empathy. Empathy is the key concept, not only in all interpersonal relationships, but in all relationships with people you don't even know, and in all your thinking. Empathize, know what it is that someone else is feeling, how someone else sees the world, how someone else says certain things for certain reasons, and get beyond the whole concept of good and bad, which is one I've only used for convenience when I'm talking. People will say things that irritate you, do things that really make you angry. But if you try to empathize with where, as they say, they're coming from, you're going to make a lot more difference in their lives by the way you treat them. You're not going to give them back the same. You're going to be more understanding. I'm not asking you to be weak, but to be understanding. Empathy, then, is a key concept. And it's central to the key concept of almost all the major religions, which is called the Golden Rule. The Golden Rule says to do unto others as we would have them do unto us. And it is cited in Christianity and Judaism and in many other religions as the only concept you need to know. Everything else follows logically. Think about it. You wouldn't like someone to lie to you, to steal from you, to kill you, to slander you. You go down the list of all the negative things and you'll see they're all contained in the Golden Rule. However, the Golden Rule is so difficult for most people. For us fallible human beings, I think that it might be better to think about a moderate view of the Golden Rule, which I call the Silver Rule. Silver Rule is, let us make more of an effort to do unto others as we would have them do unto us, even though they probably won't make an effort to reciprocate, but sometimes might. What I'm saying is, make more of an effort, but don't expect much back. And don't worry about it. You've made the effort. Along these same lines, practicing the silver rule, I think it's important, very important, not to buy into or contribute to those beliefs and fears that create unkindness to your fellow human beings, that make you a member of human unkind rather than a member of humankind. And when I say don't buy into them, they're in everyone's life. But you don't have to buy into them too far. You can try to moderate how much you get involved with them. Possibly, it would be ideal that you get completely out of them. They are bad headsets. For example, believing that other people are less human than you are. The result of such a thought is too painfully obvious in our world. But to give one example, I heard about recently a small manufacturing concern that was using a powerful laminate for its materials, and the fumes from this were dangerous, so the owner hired people from another country to do the work. Obviously, the headset is, they're a little less human, it won't hurt them. It's okay if they do get hurt. Another belief is that your thought system is superior to the thought systems of other people. Considering how vast the universe is and how mysterious and how little we really understand, it seems the height of pride to think that you know the only way to do things, whether it's in religion or in politics or in any other field. All the things I'm saying to you today could be wrong. If they're wrong, fine. If you try them out and you like them and you think they're good, fine. But to think that my system or your system or anybody's system is better than someone else's or superior is leading the door to more inhumanity. Think of the Protestants killing the Catholics killing the Protestants, the communists in this century killing the capitalists, and the capitalists killing the communists, all over thought systems. And it goes on and on through every layer. Another belief is that it is imperative for you not to forgive those who trespass against you. Absolutely imperative. It's always amused me that in the Christian religion, one of the most famous prayers, the Lord's Prayer, contains this phrase: "Forgive me my trespasses as I forgive those who trespass against me." You know what? I don't think many people have been forgiven, because they say that and then they don't forgive those who trespass against them. So I'd say try not to buy into these or at all, or don't buy into them as much as you have in the past, and you'll be more kind to your fellow human beings. And then there are fears. Fears such as fearing not to believe what your peers believe, or the authorities and your peers. Just going along like a sheep. We can see where that's led in many countries where the authorities and the peers have been bent on some cruel plan like genocide. Or fearing to defend what you think is right if it's too costly to you personally. You don't want to lose your job, so you won't speak up. You're working at a used car lot, and you know that this car you're selling is dangerous, and that the boss said you got to get it off of here, and you sell it to someone knowing full well that person could get hurt in it. Or do you turn around and say, no, I won't sell it, and lose your job maybe? Who knows, but at least you can go home with a clean conscience. The handbook advocates strongly then empathy, the silver rule, and not buying into these beliefs and fears that create humanity's cruelty to its members, because the book advocates that it is absolutely imperative that if you believe these ideas are good and you practice them and you see that they're effective, that you become a crusader for a better world in which there is not so much cruelty by one group to another, by one individual to another. Our whole history is a record of humankind's inhumanity to humankind. And in your life, you can start to stop this. It doesn't have to go on and on. It's not only a repetitious story, it's a horrible story. This world of ours may or may not be the best of all possible worlds. It may be the best of all possible worlds if you want to think of it as a spiritual commando course, because we certainly have a difficult course to work our way through. But considering all the suffering that we inflict on each other, I don't think anybody would mind if we made it a slightly better world, a better place to live in. And so the handbook is obviously proposing that that is something you can do in your own sphere. You can create within your own life and in the lives of the people you touch a better world. You can, as Voltaire put it, cultivate your own garden. Just think of the difference between a garden, beautifully cultivated with beautiful flowers, and one that's been let go and is all full of weeds. The first is a work of art, the second is a work of neglected art. As a positive influence on both yourself and others, you should live your life with gratitude, appreciating the miracle of existence and the wonders of creation, and sharing your gratitude, appreciation, and wonders with others. For your life is a gift. Your talents are on loan to you, and the time that you live in is as difficult as any other time before you, even though it may seem more difficult. Every generation has had its problems. Our problems are different, but there have been problems throughout the history of humankind. So you should make the best of this gift that you've been given in this particular time period. Do what you can with the loan to leave the world a better place than you found it. Being human is a very complex challenge. It is a very difficult task. Being a human who adds to our balance sheet rather than subtracts from it is an even more challenging task. But as we all know, when you accept challenges and you overcome obstacles, you feel very good about yourself. And it's very important to not take the line of least resistance, but take the line of most effort and be a good, loving person who's making this world a more pleasant place to live in. We have enough troubles as it is. You can add something good. And please remember in all of this that I'm not saying you have to be perfect. I'm saying move in the direction of things that are better in your own life, better for other people's lives. The whole idea of being perfect is very dangerous. Or the whole idea that you're totally imperfect is very dangerous. The truth is that we're somewhere in between, and we can go in either direction, as I said before, in every thought, word, and deed. Make a realistic assessment then of what it means to be human, and try to live your life inspired by the best that is available to us as examples of what we can do with our lives. Too often nowadays we hear endless talks, read an endless stream of books about how everything can be better. But the truth of the matter is those are all just words. This book invites you to live the world you want, not to talk about it, not to say how nice it would be if everybody could get together and be nice to each other. This is much more difficult. It says, get out there and do it. Put your money where your mouth is. Live that world. I don't want to hear how you're going to have that world happening somewhere outside your backyard. Live it in your backyard. Thoreau, one of my favorite writers, said, to be a philosopher is so to love wisdom as to live according to its dictates. And that's what I'm talking about. There's no sense knowing the theory if you don't put it into practice. So I invite you to live the world you want, to be an example in your life of the way you want things to be, and make the world a better place for yourself and for all of us. I'd like to read to you the little poem that actually started this whole book. If you want people to be loving, be loving. If you want people to be understanding, be understanding. If you want people to invest themselves in relationships and make an effort to make them work, invest yourself. If you want a world in which people are less greedy, share. If you want a world with less war, be more at peace with yourself and others. If you want a world in which more people contribute, give. If you want a better world, be a better person. Even if others do otherwise, you can know that you are doing what you can do to make the world a bit better rather than worse. For the world is simply you and I multiplied and multiplied throughout time, and is no better or worse than you and I make it. The book begins with that poem, and it ends with this little poem. Speak your days with courage. Act them with helping. Lighten them with humor. Sing your days with gratitude. Dance them with grace. Celebrate them with affection. The love you are looking for is to be found in sharing it.